Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the Ghost in the Shell Deluxe Edition. In this case, this is Deluxe Edition Volume. Oh, it doesn't even say. It's supposed to say 1 right here, because there's technically several more volumes after this one. Anyhow, this is by Masamune Shirow, and this has been a long time coming. A lot of people have requested me to do Ghost in the Shell. And by the way, if you are a fan of Ghost in the Shell, I do recommend this deluxe edition. It's very, very nice. Printed by, what is this? This is Kodansha. Yeah, this is Kodansha Comics. I think the original Ghost in the Shell publication was by Dark Horse many moons ago. What's very cool about this version is, as you can see, there's a lot of extra content. So you can tell you right here what's new and old. And in particular, for those of you who are a fan of Japanese coloring, there's a lot more colored pages compared to the original Ghost in the Shell. And it's pretty nice coloring. I don't know if this is Copic coloring. It kind of looks like it, just with the watercolor look that's going on right here. And so here's the deal about Ghost in the Shell. And so real quick, if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, do take a look at this edition. I think it's a pretty good buy. And I think I got this at a reasonable price. So it says $29.99 USA, but I believe I picked this up for a lot less. I think it was like $24.99 is what I got it, which is a pretty good price for a hardcover edition like this. Also, it's extra size, so for those of you who don't like the tiny manga format, this is a much nicer format. It's also not too big. It's kind of easy on the hands to read through. But anyway, my point being, here's the deal about Ghost in the Shell, and I'm probably going to get some heat for this, but Ghost in the Shell falls into the same category as Akira for me, in that I have a lot of respect for the series, but I'm actually not that big of a fan of it, neither the manga or the anime. And the reason being is Ghost in the Shell is the cyberpunk genre, which in general I'm actually not that big of an aficionado of, I would say. I think cyberpunk's can be a very cool genre, but it doesn't wow me or immerse me as it does other people, right, who are more into it. The other problem with Ghost in the Shell, and it doesn't suffer the same problems as Akira. I think Akira's biggest problem for me is I just don't like the protagonists in Akira, or in general most of the people, period, in Akira. I just don't like people. They're just kind of very annoying, though Kaneda gets a little bit better at the end of Akira, though. The whole point is I kind of have to slog through Akira with a lot of characters I don't like, even though the storytelling and especially the art by Otomo is really, really good. In Ghost in the Shell, what's sort of interesting about Ghost in the Shell is that it's not that I don't like the characters. I actually do like Major Kusanagi. Motoko Kusanagi is the main character right here. It's more like Masamune Shirow, and I don't know if he was the first one to popularize this, but he absolutely falls for one aspect of manga that I don't like, and that is the very manga, almost weebish exposition dump is what I'd like to call it. A lot of manga fans don't realize this because I think you get so immersed to it. And even for me, I grew up almost with manga to a degree. So even I get so used to it, I miss it a lot. And that is manga has a. By the way, look at the art right here. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, these colored pages are fantastic, by the way. Manga has a really, really bad habit. A lot of mangas, I should say, especially the mid-tier mangas, but even popular one like Ghost in the Shell, they have a really bad habit of just massive exposition dumps through characters telling you, how the world works or how something else works, right? And it's kind of funny because in many ways, people will often criticize other comic books or other media for not following the show don't tell decree or philosophy towards storytelling, and yet at the same time we'll praise books like this, which break it all the time. And my point being is, take a look at this, right? I'm not gonna actually read through and explain anything. I'm just gonna show you the pages, right? So you see pages and you see some people running around, there's gunfights and all this other stuff. somebody's blowing up, and then, here's this lady in a wall, right? If you actually go through the art of Ghost in the Shell, it actually, even though it's good looking art, I like Masamune Shirow's art, though at times he can get a little too simplistic for my taste, and I do love the color pages a lot. But one of the biggest problems with Ghost in the Shell is often not you're gonna have like this, right? So she's in the truck and they're getting into their mission, and it's just talking, between her and her. And you really don't know what's going on when you go through this. I mean, a lot of scenes kind of just flow through. And without Masamune Shirow basically dumping the world through the dialogue or through whatever, you wouldn't really know what the hell is going on in Ghost in the Shell. The images are interesting and fantastic, but in this case, they're chasing after a dude right here who's hacking stuff. And the other aspect of it is just, for me, the world of Ghost in the Shell is fascinating and unique, but it's just, I hate to say this, it's just a little too nerdy for me. It's just way too much techno weirdo, like hardcore sci-fi. And after a while, I'm just sort of like, okay, this is cool, and I get it. And I mean, even the opening right here, which is, this is a close-up of a neurochip, right? And all this other stuff. This is kind of some cool stuff, but at the same time, like, I end up, what happens when I read Ghost in the Shell, and this is, let me go to the second chapter right here. Where are you? Yeah, here they have a chase scene. A lot of it is chasing after dudes and these like mech robots after a while. So kind of a precursor, well, not a precursor, Gundam I think occurred before this. But, ooh, yeah. So every chapter has color pages in the front now. It's really, really nice. Like, these color pages are fantastic. I love this. This is really cool. But, yeah, you get a lot of, like, here you have just people dumping and talking and talking, right? And when the action kicks into gear, it's almost like a breath of fresh air. And usually it happens, like, mid-chapter. You'll get like the action will pick up and there'll be a chase scene or a fight scene or something like that, and you're just thanking God because I don't have to read about some weird government agency, playing fucking, softball bullshit power to kind of explain the plot is what's going on right here, right? And I know I'm gonna get some heat from people because like they're gonna be screaming, "Oh, you don't understand! You're being simplistic." But no, I have to be honest with you guys, right? Like this series, and this is true of both the anime and the manga, because even when I was growing up and I watched Standalone Complex and a lot of the other anime, I wasn't really that into it. Not to say another blasphemous thing, but it was kind of paired up with a lot of other animes that I grew up with that I wasn't super into. Like a good example is Neon Genesis Evangelion I wasn't into, and I think Bubblegum Crisis I wasn't into. There were a lot of steampunk, cyberpunk stuff that I wasn't really into growing up. And what I will say about Ghost in the Shell is it's extremely imaginative. Like, you could tell, like, Masamune Shirow has an incredible imagination, because he's also very much interested in actual science. There's, obviously there's some pseudoscience to this, as in a lot of science fiction. But you could tell he, especially in this deluxe edition, which has his extended notes, right? Let me see if I can find it. Like, you'll see these parts right here where he dumps some extended notes about stuff, right? Like guns or ghosts or a bunch of other stuff. A bunch of things that he doesn't explain very well in the first couple chapters, so you can read this and try to get a better explanation. Again, though, it just kind of reinforces my feelings about this book. So you guys know I'm not always a 100% believer in the show don't tell edict, right? Because there are some times when it is best to just do an exposition dump. Keep it short. Don't freaking go on for paragraphs here. This is a comic book, right? But sometimes it's the best way to get the information to the reader. And when those situations arise, it's going to be up to the skill of the writer to figure out how to present that information in, a quick, concise way that's also entertaining for them to read, that keeps them in the story despite you basically explaining to them what's going on, right? In the case of Ghost in the Shell, a lot of times, and it may also be the translation again, you know, this is, you got to be careful right here because with manga, right, you're always at the mercy of the translator if you don't know how to read Japanese yourself. The same can be said to a degree of the European comics, the bande dessinée. You're very much at the mercy of the translators and the editors that bring it to life in English. Ego, as the Japanese call it. But here's the deal. Very imaginative, art is really good, and when the action starts moving, it's like classic manga action. You know, you love it, the speed lines, look at the, you know, the explosions and everything. It's really cool, but a lot of times I get completely lost in the art. And I have to kind of read back over and over and over again to kind of figure out, wait, what the heck just happened right here? Especially in the manga, the anime is a little bit easier to figure out what's going on compared to the manga. Just because some things are not so subtle, like the whole, you know, people keying together and locking together like that. That is kind of the trademark of Ghost in the Shell, especially these early chapters, right? You get some funny things. I like how Masamune Shirow always like portrays these like VPs and execs as like freaking slugs and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Oh man, yeah. I know I'm not talking too much about the story. You know, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm just not really that super into it. But yeah, so this one, they were on a mission to hunt down this guy doing hacking, and then there was another one here where these guys right here reprogram. They're like after this corrupt colonel and a bunch of other people, and they trick a garbage disposal guy and put memories in his brain, and he's like unwittingly helping out a terrorist, and they have to run him down and whatnot. And then she gets paired with this new partner who is kind of hot-headed, and they don't really agree, or they have some kind of you know, disagreement on what's going on, and she kind of thinks he's kind of a fuck up and stuff. But yeah, no, here's the deal. It could be all me, because I think when I try to read through this, because of how much you have to kind of read into it and figure out what goes on, I don't know why, but I just get like, I hate to say it, but it's like I have to slog through this manga. And I don't like that feeling. And anytime I'm ever in that position where I have to slog through something like multiple times, or like I pick it up and I really can't finish it in one sitting, like normally with a manga this size, right, even though it's a lot, right, like it's a lot of pages, I typically finish manga like this in one sitting, no problem. You know, I guarantee you, like this one that's coming up, I finished this, and it's actually more pages, I finished this easily in one sitting, no problem. Ghost in the Shell, I end up having to go back over a chapter because I'm so confused about what's going on half the time. And I think for some people, that's like enjoyable. They find that to be more fascinating or interesting or engaging. For me, I find that really frustrating. And it might be I'm just a freaking idiot, right? And I just don't get it. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm not, I'm going to be honest, the art's really cool, especially the color pages. But Ghost in the Shell might be, you know, you might be better served by the anime than the manga in this instance. And I think it's because I think it does a better job and it's less confusing, I think. At least in my opinion. I haven't watched the anime in a long time, but yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's just, I'm like, I'm in the same place as like Akira. It's just like, I know a lot of people really, 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 really like this series. And a lot of people really like Akira too. And I don't know, man. I just don't get it. You know? Again, this particular deluxe edition, though, I think is a fantastic buy. And I think the added color pages are fantastic. And the extra notes by Masamune Shirow, I think, are going to give all you Cyberpunk, especially Japanese Cyberpunk fans, tickle your fancy. It'll be a great collection. I think there are 2 more hardcovers too. There's a 1.5 and a volume 2, which I'm wondering if that's the other stories that he did. But yeah, man, you know what's funny? I was reading through this and I was kind of like, why do I feel like I'm reading a Ya Boy Zach book? And you know, if you go through Ghost in the Shell, you can easily see the influence that this manga has, and on Richard C. Myers, because he mentions Ghost in the Shell a lot in his videos. And having read this, I kind of get it. This is definitely up Richard Myers' like military techno, ethics nerd kind of stuff. Fortunately, it's not my cup of tea. You know, but you know, for those of you guys watching, it might be yours if you're into Cyberpunk, you know, and manga, and you've never read Ghost in the Shell. Do check it out. It's very famous and very popular for good reason, I would say. But anyhow, yeah. Sorry for these guys who were hoping I was going to praise this book. It didn't work out for this one, but. What did work out was doing some art, right? So I was kind of messing with this one. So this one I was kind of working on what they call anime manga face, right? So the Japanese are known for making the sharp chin, right? So I kind of messed with that proportion while exaggerating all the other proportions. It ended up looking pretty cool. I also kind of experimented with the colors a little bit more. I was trying to go with a lighter palette to see how it would look, and I kind of like this a little bit. I think I'm gonna do some more lighter palette stuff here. It's a little on the bisexual lighting spectrum right here, but I'll keep that aspect of it a little under control here. I think it's just interesting to kind of lay the robot aspect of it all. With all the wires and stuff sticking out of her. Anyhow, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. You got any comments on the Ghost in the Shell or my art? Leave it down below, and I will see you next time.